Hi guys, and welcome to today's video where I'm going through a few, tips and tricks and hacks that I found along the way of looking after a crested gecko. Now the first one, it looks kind of gross. It is some dried food in the milk lids. So I use milk lids as food bowls. These seem to work very well, but you can find yourself going through quite a few, and if you don't clean them out properly afterwards, they can't really be recycled, I don't think. I think they prefer it if you clean them. And a lot of charities actually collect milk lids, so once you're done with them, you can recycle them. Or you can just sort of reuse them, I guess recycling in a way. So what you do is you leave this food, oh goodness me. So what you do is you leave this food to completely dry. So once your crested gecko's done with it, they've left a bit, just take it out of the tank and put it to the side, let it dry. It doesn't take long, it might take a day. Now this is the I find this oddly satisfying. I don't know why, but now you just have to peel it all out. So once that's all out, all the content that you've just taken out, you can technically put back into your tank if you have a cleanup crew. They'll pretty much just break it down for you. So once again, you're just recycling it. And now you just add in your new food, add in the water, and in total you probably only have to use 2 milk lids now. You don't have to keep chucking them out like I used to. The next tip, trick or hack, whatever you'd like to call it, is to spray down the tank down the walls as well as the plants. So obviously you might have real plants, you might have fake plants. So you've always heard that the lizards will lick the water collected in plants and that, and on leaves. That's true. But also if you want something, especially if you're using live plants, you don't want to keep ruining the leaves, is to actually just spray down the walls. And you'll get little bits on the plants, but you also get it on the walls. And I have seen many times my geckos go up and lick it. So for me, instead of having obviously a water bowl, because a crested gecko, I have seen them drink from standing water, but to put in a big water bowl is a bit of a waste. But this is my kind of water bowl. That's where the water stays the most, and that's definitely probably, besides bromeliads, where my crested geckos get most of their drink from. That moves me swiftly on to the next tip. So when you are spraying down the tank a lot, you're going to get all these hard water stains on there. I've actually moved from tap water to bottled water, and I found the bottled water actually stays on the glass longer, which is good, so it gives them more of a time to drink, but it leaves worse stains. So that isn't too much of a problem nowadays. Now you might be expecting me to say, oh, you can use a thing where you mix vinegar with water. The only problem I found with that is most people said you had to leave it on overnight, which isn't really practical when you have a gecko that wants to drink off of the walls. And also everything stinks of vinegar. So if you've seen my Exoterra review video of that stuff I found that you clean a glass with, that's really good. So I would recommend that. It wasn't expensive, I think it was £5 or £6, but it lasts ages, and I really need to clean these walls. So that's sort of not really a trick or anything, it's kind of something you've got to do, but just be prepared for, and there's now products out there that will make it even more simple for you. The next tip is a handling one. I thought I'd throw one of those in there. I actually get this question a lot, like how do you approach the gecko to pick it up? It's difficult because she's the wrong way around for how I'm filming this, but oh well. So basically what I always do is get my hand and get my finger and just pop it behind her front 2 legs, and you'll notice that you tend to hold on then. And there you go, that's pretty easy, wasn't it? You can jump up there. So basically what you saw there, I may have done it quite quick, but if you take your finger, put it behind their 2 front legs, they naturally tend to grasp onto it, and then you might want to get your other hand involved to help out, but then their back legs will get on, their little tail will grip round. That's a very simplistic way of looking at handling them, but it works. So for the next hack, we have to go to the top of the tank. This is what people don't usually see. We've got a massive light here, that's the Jungle Dawn. Unfortunately, this comes with a fitting that doesn't really hold it up very well because it's such a big light. So I have to use a tile to hold it up so it doesn't just drop straight on the cage, and it keeps it cool, like the tile does not get hot. Anyway, that's not what we're focusing on for this tip. It's actually the thing in the background, the tinfoil. So if you're having a problem with humidity, especially if you only use like paper towel in your tank with a Crested Gecko, which personally I wouldn't recommend, it kind of smells damp and it just does not look in any humidity in my experience. But if you're having a lot of trouble with humidity, or you just want to bring it up a little bit, put some tinfoil on part of the lid. And if you don't want the lid to rust so much, you can put some plastic in between. I'm just using some bubble wrap here, and that will pretty much immediately just help your gecko out. I'll tell you how much it helped me out. I went from Isla kind of sometimes sticking to the glass, but most of the time slipping. That's why my family actually call her Teflon. They don't call her Isla, they call her Teflon because they say she's non-stick. And as soon as I changed that up, I added that. Never had a problem since. So I actually learned that off of someone else, I have to say, give credit where credit is due. But yeah, it's a pretty handy little trick. And the last Crested Gecko life hack of today's video is a prevention against biological warfare. And what I mean by that is whenever you get your Crested Gecko out, it's always good to have a tissue. So Crested Geckos kind of have a tendency of going to the toilet on you. This can probably be down to temperature if you think our hands are quite warm. Sometimes maybe if they're a bit nervous because they're new, that can happen. In my opinion though, I think it is just down to the fact that there's a temperature change, because I can have my Crested Geckos out for ages and they'll be totally fine some days, and then sometimes they will just go. So I don't know if it's necessarily that they're nervous, but as I said, in some cases it may be that. All I know is whenever I get my Crested Geckos out, I always have a bit of tissue near just in case they go. And fortunately, unlike things like rodents, they don't constantly go. So if they've gone once, then you probably should be fine for the rest of the time they're out. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and thank you very much for watching.